Arctic Norway. Tromso is one of the most northerly cities in the world, and at this time of year it's regularly well below freezing. There's also only a handful of daylight hours each day, which makes bikepacking in this part of the country a real challenge. This is my solo winter bikepacking adventure in Arctic Norway. Thank you very much for watching my film. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel as well. I bring out a bikepacking film just like this every single month. Before I dive into the behind the scenes, I want to tell you about a giveaway that I'm doing just before Christmas. I've got 2 packs of these limited edition Christmas tyre caps from Brick Caps to give away. They're perfectly designed to fit Presta valves if you run inner tubes, They're really quirky and you can keep them for yourself or you could give them as a really cool Christmas gift. All you need to do to be in with a chance of winning these Christmas brick caps is to give this video a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe to the channel and leave a comment in this video. I'm going to be selecting 2 comments at random on the 21st of December to announce who's won. So I flew from London to Tromso, which is in Arctic Norway, about 300 miles north of the Arctic Circle. It gets very, very cold up there. When I arrived, it was about -15. The week after I left, it dropped to -25, which is just absolutely mental. It's an incredibly beautiful part of the world, littered with fjords and amazing cycle paths. It truly is a spectacular place to visit. The only downside to the time that I went is that you only have about 6 hours of daylight a day, which means that you've got to pack a lot into the day. It makes filming a bit of a challenge as well. I only went for 4 days. I would have liked to have gone for much longer, but unfortunately work and family commitments mean I've only got a limited window that I can actually get away. And I've done pretty well for bikepacking trips this year, so I can't complain. I stayed at the Smart Hotel in Tromso, which was like a relatively affordable hotel as far as Norway is concerned. It's quite an expensive country to visit. I left my bike box and all my stuff there and headed out from there off on my adventure. Before I headed out, the first day, I took advantage of the cable car, which is a couple of miles away from the hotel, up to the top of one of the mountains. It was just outside of the drone zone. There's a limitation on where you can fly because of the airport, which allowed me to fly the drone over the city and get a really cool shot. As I got up there, it was pretty blizzardy. I didn't get much in the way of footage because the snow was quite bad. Apart from that 5-minute window where I flew the drone, it was pretty much covered in cloud and snow the whole time I was up there. I stocked up on camping gas and other essentials, things that I needed that I wasn't allowed to take on the plane this day as well. The plan on day 1 was to do about 25 to 30 miles, head away from Tromso, over the hill, down to Skulsfjord. I was going to wild camp. I brought all my Arctic bikepacking gears. You can see I had the big yellow dry bag filled with the North Face Arctic sleeping bag, sleeping liner, plenty of clothes to keep me warm, so I had everything that I needed. I had planned on wild camping 3 miles away from Skulsfjord. It was kind of down a forest track / farm track away from the village to a kind of makeshift wild camping spot that I'd seen from Google Maps. As I got to Skulsfjord, I hadn't made as much progress as I would have liked. I was getting really cold. I was suffering a little bit at this point, shivering, and the light was fading. So I had 2 options. I could carry on going where I'd planned on wild camping and risk it, or look for an alternative. I made the sensible decision to give up and have a look on my phone, booking.com, to see if there was anywhere where I could stay. And amazingly, there wasn't anything for about 10 miles anywhere to stay, apart from in the exact village where I was in Skulsfjord. Bearing in mind there's literally nothing in this village whatsoever, just some houses and a farm. But there was this old dilapidated farmhouse that had just been put on as an option, and it was really, really cheap. It was kind of like a hostel setup. There was 4 rooms and a shared kitchen, shared living space, shared bathrooms, etc. So everyone had their own room, which was great for me, and the communal spaces mean that you get to mingle with people that you've never met before. I met a lovely German couple called Sven and Anna. They were really accommodating. We had a good chat around the dinner table. I even offered to take some photos because that evening we were witnessing the amazing northern lights. Because there's hardly any light pollution and because it's so far north, Tromso is such an incredible place to see the northern lights. It happened nearly every night I was there. It even happened on the plane when I was coming into Tromso. I could see it from my seat. It was just an incredible spectacle and I'm so glad I managed to witness it. It's been on my bucket list for ages, so super glad I managed to see it. Day 2, I got up fairly early and set off, carrying on from the route that I should have been doing the night before, rejoining the farm track. It was at this point I soon realised that I definitely made the right decision the night before. It took me 2.5 hours to do those 3 miles to get to my wild camping spot. The snow was so deep, it was beyond knee deep at times. It meant that I just couldn't cycle. It was impossible to ride the bike. I had to push it and walk, and going uphill through a couple of feet of snow, it's bloody hard work, so it took a very long time. I'm glad I didn't carry on that night before because by that point I would have been absolutely freezing. It would have been pitch black, so it would have taken me even longer to get to this wild camping spot. Definitely made the right decision. Skulsfjord is pretty much a dead end, so if you want to get anywhere, you have to go back the way you came. Apart from this farm track that I had planned, which took me over the hill to the next village. It took me a good few hours to reach this village, and the village was called Kavalovegen, which is a very difficult name to pronounce, and I'm sure I got it wrong. But as I eventually got there, I could rejoin the road and head down around the other side of the fjord back to Tromso. The road itself was not very busy, but it was a little bit treacherous at times. The snow had formed kind of ruts in the middle of the road, which meant that you kind of got tram-tracked a little bit with the bike, and occasionally you'd lose the wheel, which made it a little bit sketchy. Apart from that though, it was a lovely road to ride, hardly any cars at all, loads of reindeer that just happened to wander into the road, but I didn't mind, I was going so slow anyway, it was nice to have something interesting to watch. There weren't any shops or any facilities on this road. There was supposed to be a shop in Kavalovegen, but it wasn't open because it was a Sunday, so I had to make do with the food and water that I'd got. I was trialling a new water system in the bike, so I had a bladder in my frame bag which allowed me to just sip rather than use bottles. It was so cold that even though I'd put warm/hot water in that bladder the morning of, by lunchtime it completely frozen, so I had to keep smashing it on my bike, trying to break it so that I could suck some of the water out, which made riding a little bit more of a challenge. I did, however, have a good flask of tea, which I kept topped up at all times, so I always had something warm to drink and something I could use to potentially melt the ice. After a good few hours of cycling on this road, the sun was setting, the wind was picking up, which made it even more of a challenge. I was starting to bonk at this point. I was only about 9 or 10 miles away from the hotel, but I was really struggling. By some miracle, a few miles later, I came across this amazing burger place. It was like an American burger bar, but with a Norwegian twist. You could get reindeer burgers and other crazy stuff, but it was just the ideal stop-off point. Nothing else had been open for miles and miles. I had a greasy burger with chips and a Coke, refilled my energy, stayed in the warm for a little bit, and then head off for the final handful of miles back to Tromso. I got back to the hotel, set up my bike back in the bike box with all the luggage, ready for the following morning flight, which was at 5 AM. So I didn't have much sleep. It was a bit of a rush, but I'm really glad I went. That's it, my final film for 2023 done. What an amazing year it has been. I've been all over the world to some incredible locations, and I can't wait to show you some of the amazing trips I've got planned for 2024. Thank you so much for all of your amazing support this year. I've been blown away, as usual, by the subscribers, the amazing comments, and people reaching out to me. It's been fantastic to see. Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely Christmas, and I'll see you in the new year.